Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 74 based on novel. So let's start. Don't think that you can escape punishment just because you are the disciple of the emperor. Yangsu became a chaos realm transcendent for a long time, and he also got to know the 13 emperors of the ancient country of Yangfeng better. The 13 emperors of the ancient country had too few external threats, but their internal conflicts were extremely fierce. Except for Emperor Qing, who was a little detached, the conflicts between the other 12 emperors were very fierce. If it weren't for the suppression of the ancestor Yangfeng, they would have started a life-and-death fight long ago. In such a conflict, even if Luo Feng was Dichu's direct disciple, it would be difficult for him to escape the punishment. I never said I wanted to escape punishment. Luo Feng laughed. Yangsu, there is no need to delay, just dive first. The endless black river swept towards Yangsu with great might. Luo He. Yangsu's face was ferocious, and two colorful divine acts suddenly appeared around his body. As soon as the two divine acts appeared, a void formation diagram appeared under Yangsu's feet. The two divine acts were the two cores of the formation diagram. Kill. The two divine pursuit swords with the formation diagram burst out with extremely terrifying destructive power, forcibly strangling the rolling black river in front. Interesting. In the distance, the towering Luo Feng was watching this scene. With this pair of divine weapons in hand, his strength has at least doubled. Unfortunately, he is still inferior to the great sage Biyun. The endless black river kept flooding past. Yangsu struggled hard, feeling desperate. The gap in strength is too big. Although he knew this would be the result, Yangsu was still very angry. He was good at using the void to fight the enemy, but Luo Feng's Black River world had stronger control over the interior, completely suppressing some of his domain moves. A head-on confrontation? The difference is too great. It's over. Yangsu controlled a pair of void gods to chase and struggle, but in just a few breaths, facing the crushing of the endless black river, he was finally completely annihilated. His complete clone lasted for a few breaths, but in the city, he had two other weak clones, which were destroyed in an instant and had no ability to resist. Shanga City, although it is a border city, is still ruled by a chaos realm transcendent, so it is still very safe. Over the long years, a large number of practitioners have gathered here, and even the trade between the two ancient countries is mostly in the border city, making the trade quite prosperous. Is that General Yangsu? The other one should be the great sage Luo He. There were also several thousand eternal true gods in Shanga City. When they noticed that the world was suddenly dark and the black river covered every corner of the city, they knew something big had happened. When they looked up and saw Luo Feng's towering figure, they also saw General Yangsu confronting him in the sky. Although they couldn't hear their conversation, most of them knew some of the famous people on the origin continent, and also recognized the identity of the great sage Luo He. Something big has happened. A great event that will reach the sky. These eternal true gods were in a panic. In the long years before, General Yangsu was the sky of the entire city, the most terrifying existence in Shanga City, and his will was the will of the entire city. And now, the sky of Shanga City has encountered an even more terrifying existence. General Yangsu is a chaos realm transcendent, comparable to a newly promoted god king. Even with the help of the formation, he is still no match for the great sage Luo He. They fought each other, but there was no aftermath of the fight. The aftermath of the fight was blocked by the Black River water. Anyone with a little knowledge can sense the horror of this black water. It could cover every corner of the city in the blink of an eye, and even quickly erode and submerge General Yangsu. The battle is over, it's over. Some of these eternal true gods were members of the city army, some were members of the two ancient countries' commercial forces, and some had powerful backgrounds. They also breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. Two terrifying beings are fighting each other. If the aftermath is not controlled well, all the practitioners in the city will die. When the battle was over, all they had was relief. At a high altitude quite far away from Shanga City, a figure came across the sky. It was an ordinary clone of Yangsu. Yang Su's ordinary clone looked far towards Xiangjie City and saw that the Black River world covered the entire city without leaving any flaws. There's no way to fight, the gap is too big. Luo, his strength is undisputed, is the number one in the Chaos realm. Even compared with the first level of the Divine King, he should be considered an extremely strong level at the first level of the Divine King. Yang Su sighed. A feeling of powerlessness filled my heart. The gap is so big that there is not even the desire to fight. This was also the reason why he was willing to apologize and resolve the feud as soon as he saw Luo Feng. However, Yang Su Mai found it hard to accept Luo Feng's proposal for the pair of void gods. My most important treasure, Yang Su, is this pair of divine weapons, and he took it away from me. Yang Su was quite sad and angry. Apart from this, he had no other valuable treasures. The value of this pair of divine weapons to him is like the value of the Star Tower Blood Shadow Knife to Luo Feng. How could he not feel heartbroken after losing them? Whatever, now that I've lost the God King's weapon, I have no weaknesses anymore. Yang Su's eyes turned cold. This battle with Luo Feng also proves one thing. It is not enough to just be able to survive. You also need to be able to kill the enemy. A Chaos realm transcendent like Luo, he has such strength. Once he becomes a Divine King and improves in all aspects, he will probably become the overlord of the Origin continent in a short time. Yang Su thought about it. He had lived for a long time and was strong enough to know that the order of the Origin continent was determined by a group of ancient overlords. Who can be called the overlord? He has a strong ability to preserve his life and is almost impossible to be killed on the Origin continent. His strength against the enemies is also terrifying. Even the ancestor of the Snow Realm cannot be called the overlord of the Origin continent because his strength against the enemies is still a little weak. If he succeeds in cultivating the Huan bloodline and his strength against the enemies can be comparable to that of the second level of the Divine King, he can also be called an overlord. Only then would the Two Realms Palace be willing to invite him to join. As for now, in the eyes of the real overlords, although they could not kill the Snow Realm Ancestor, the Snow Realm Ancestor was not a threat and was just a tickle to them. Many Divine Kings of the first level have died or been forced to reincarnate over the long course of time. But the Luo River has two deep roots. Yang Su was very clear about this. In fact, many forces in the Origin continent understood this. Luo Feng himself understood it, and the person in the Two Realms Palace also understood it, so there was nothing they could do even though they were extremely angry. It is foreseeable that Luo he will become the God King. It is foreseeable that after Luo he becomes the God King, he will quickly become the overlord of the Origin continent, which is a huge increase in all aspects than it is now. But who can stop his growth? Luo, you are attacking a border city, and a city that suppresses the entrance to the world. You will definitely pay a heavy price. You have already entered the chaos state, and your transcendence is too short. You don't understand the madness of the fighting between regions at all. Once you are implicated, Yang Su watched from afar. Boom! Suddenly, in the direction of Xiangjie City in the distance, the ground shook violently. It started. Yang Su was not surprised at all. Without me controlling the ceiling formation, the soul essence bloodline creatures in that world will definitely try to break out. If they really break out, your sin will be multiplied tenfold or 100-fold. Boom boom. At this moment, the ground in the distance was shaking. Yang Su watched from afar. He was looking forward to seeing some creatures of the Huan bloodline rushing out. That would be really exciting. In Xiangjie City, after annihilating Yang Su's complete clone and two weak clones, Luo Feng also collected the spoils. Being chased by a pair of void gods, Yang Su must be extremely distressed. Luo Feng thought he was kind enough. He did not provoke him, but he deliberately targeted him. Simply taking his treasure was just a small punishment. If Yang Su didn't know what was best for him, and continued to pester and retaliate by relying on the clone technique when he became a God King and his mind was strong enough, he wouldn't mind using the Lai Yuan technique to send him off completely. Of course, if Yang Su gave up at this point, Luo Feng would not spend any more time on him. The most critical thing now is the entrance to the world. As soon as Luo Feng thought of this, the vast dark world quickly shrank to a range of only hundreds of millions of kilometers, sealing the entrance to the world inside a secret hall deep underground in the garrison at the core of the entire city. The entrance to this world was originally sealed with a formation. Yang Su was responsible for controlling the formation, but he lost control and the power of the formation weakened. The Huan bloodline creatures inside noticed it immediately. I don't understand how to control this formation. It is not easy to crack the formation. Yang Su also served as a garrison general. It was only after Yang Feng Guguo subdued him that he was given the ability to control the formation. But the thick dark world magic wall blocks the entire world entrance. There was also a vast darkness rolling around the entrance to the world. Luo Feng was also standing on the Black River. Bang, bang, bang. Without the formation controller, the power of the formation was greatly reduced. The creatures with Huan bloodline forcibly suppressed the formation and attacked the membrane wall of the dark world at the entrance. Suddenly, a sharp claw pierced through the membrane wall of the dark world. Outside the membrane wall of the dark world, the surging blood suppressed it, and the sharp claws were forced back. Loud noises. Under the dual suppression of the greatly reduced power of the Black River world magic coins, the creatures of the Huan bloodline worked together to barely penetrate the membrane wall of the dark world, causing a loud noise that shook the earth. But the rolling Black River easily pushed them back. The membrane wall of the Black River world healed in the blink of an eye and continued to wrap the Huan bloodline creatures. I thought I needed to do it myself. Luo Feng watched the scene. This time he took action to find out some details about the suppressed world entrance. This world is called Shanga, and in Shanga are some Huan bloodline creatures cultivated by the ancestor of Yang Feng. The Huan bloodline is the real Huan life bloodline that originated from outside the cage. It is too powerful and terrifying. Even if it is a god king, if he touches it directly, he will be completely polluted and lose himself. Therefore, the ancestor of flame wind and the ancestor of thunder have cultivated some special creatures, many of which are not native to the continent of origin. Through the natural reproduction of organisms, the Huan bloodline is constantly diluted and reduced. The creatures that live inside the realm of appearance are all so-called chaotic creatures. For example, the golden scale beetle corpse that the master once gave to Luo Feng is a very powerful chaotic creature. Although it is a chaotic creature, its strength is comparable to that of an ordinary god king. The creatures in the Shanga are all Chaos Realm Soul Essence bloodline creatures. This is the weakest Soul Essence bloodline creature, and its bloodline is the thinnest. Luo Feng thought, so I only sent a Chaos Realm Transcendent to guard it. The ancient country of Yang Feng also has some creatures with stronger Huan bloodline, who are born with the strength of God King level, but those creatures are heavily imprisoned and are personally watched by some powerful God Kings. According to intelligence records, even if the Chaos Realm creatures have Huan bloodline, their strength and wisdom are too low, and they are generally not as good as the Chaos Realm Transcendents who cultivate Huan bloodline. Luo Feng was thinking about the Chaos Realm Transcendents, such as the Lord of Huangfeng City. After all, they are very intelligent and have a high realm. They are actually alternative Huan bloodline creatures when they cultivate the Huan bloodline. It's still easy to suppress the Chaos Realm. Luo Feng moved his mind, and a large number of black rivers merged into the membrane wall of the Dark World. When 5 billion black rivers merged into the Dark World, those Chaos Origin bloodline creatures could no longer break through the membrane wall. I'm fully prepared. I've made my real body move, and I'm even ready to suppress the entrance to the world with the Star Tower. Now it seems unnecessary. Luo Feng sat down cross-legged. He broke into the border city and killed Yang Su. The ancient country of Yang Feng could only impose some punishment according to the law, which was nothing. After all, in the continent of origin, it was normal for strong people to fight with each other. But if a group of Huan bloodline creatures escape, the punishment will be severe. As time passed, the creatures of the Huan bloodline were frantically attacking the membrane wall of the Dark World, but because they could not break through it and had low intelligence, these crazy creatures soon left. Now it depends on what punishment the Yang Feng ancient country will give. Luo Feng thought about his clone who was far away in Chudu, and immediately went to pay a visit to his master Emperor Chu. Emperor Chu Palace. The burly figure sitting on the floor in the hall looked at Luo Feng, who came in and couldn't help but smile. "My disciple, are you here to see me about the matter of Xiangjie City?" That disciple and Yang Su had a grudge, so I took action now. Luo Feng said respectfully, "I was reckless. As a practitioner, who doesn't have a temper?" Di Chu shook his head and smiled. "It's just that, as my disciple, you came to me because of some grudges, but never came to me for cultivation. You also think I am not good at teaching my brother?" Luo Feng quickly shook his head. "No, I think the master is better at teaching his disciples." "Very good at it?" Di Chu was surprised. "How come I don't know I'm good at it? How come I am good at it?" Di Chu asked. He wanted to see how this disciple would explain it. "Last time, Master summoned me and asked me about my confusion in cultivation. I have been trying to comprehend the 3-in-1 form, but have not been able to do so." Luo Feng said, "Master gave me a golden scale beetle corpse and asked me to study the more advanced 10 directions world form. After accumulating enough experience, I can study the relatively simple 3-in-1 form. I took the huan crystal spirit fruit that Master gave me before, and after careful meditation, I really made a breakthrough." Luo Feng said, "My strength has greatly increased as a result." The huan crystal spirit fruit and the golden scale beetle corpse were both given by the Master. I have naturally got the Master to thank for my ability to master the Trinity form. Moreover, the corpse of the golden scale beetle also helped Morosa become the God King. Morosa now masters the 6 branches of the Great Way of the Origin of Destruction. He can directly watch and comprehend it, which is also of great help to his practice of the Great Way of the Origin of Destruction. Thanks to his master, he gained a lot on both the path of life and the path of destruction. Luo Feng felt that with his master, his path of cultivation was much smoother. "It sounds like you were able to become the number 1 in the Chaos Realm because of my guidance." Di Chu also found it very interesting. He did not give any detailed instruction, but simply bestowed upon his disciples treasures and gave them some pointers, and they were able to achieve a breakthrough. Emperor Chu also understood. This is because the disciple has extraordinary talent. Even without his help, he would be able to figure it out if he spent more time. "You don't have to worry too much about what happened in Xiangjie City," Di Chu stopped chatting. "You just need to make sure that no creatures of the huan bloodline escape. The punishment for this matter is limited after all." Luo Feng nodded. "I am suppressing the entrance to that world now, and those creatures with huan bloodline cannot escape. However, you should be more cautious in doing things in the future." Di Chu said, "If the creatures with the huan bloodline escape, the punishment will be severe, so severe that it will affect your path of cultivation. Don't ever think that I can protect you from the punishment of Yangfeng ancient country. After all, I am not the contemporary emperor." Di Chu said. "Disciple understands." Luo Feng said. He dared to take action, partly because of his confidence in his strength. On the other hand, as a palace-type God King level secret treasure, the Star Tower is good at suppressing and sealing. Moreover, Luo Feng could sense that the true power of the Star Tower far exceeded that of a God King level palace secret treasure, and he could not shake it at all even with all his strength. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. The third disciple was extremely talented. He had created his own secret method and was able to become the number 1 in the Chaos Realm. It was not impossible for him to become as powerful as himself in the future. "You have great talent and potential, and you will encounter many things in the future." Di Chu looked at Luo Feng. "I will not hide it from you. Except for Di Qing, the other 12 emperors of the 13 royal families will fight, at all costs." Luo Feng was shocked. "At all costs?" Luo Feng looked at his master. "Among the 13 emperors of the royal family, 5 of them practice with the help of huan power and huan materials. Your master also practices with the help of huan power." Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, and the other 6 practice with the help of huan bloodline. Luo Feng listened carefully. He did know very little about the information related to the cultivation of the emperors. He only knew that some emperors cultivated the huan bloodline. As for who cultivated it? How many people cultivated it? He was not very clear. The huan bloodline affects the body and pollutes the soul. Emperor Chu said, they generally have bad tempers. The 12 emperors have many internal struggles, but they are still divided into factions after all. The 5 of us who practice with the power of huan and huan materials are one faction. The 6 of us who practice with the blood of huan are also one faction. Emperor Chu said, the contemporary emperor, is quite special. The emperor's husband once cultivated the huan bloodline and reached the strength of an emperor with it. Later, he gave up this path and chose to reincarnate. Di Chu explained, although reincarnation can get rid of the influence of the flesh and the pollution of the soul, the pollution of memory cannot be erased. After abandoning the path of the huan bloodline, Emperor Fu comprehended the path of formations, used formations to refine his body, and re-achieved the position of emperor. Emperor Chu said, he may very well be the next Emperor Qing. Luo Feng listened to these secrets. The contemporary emperor has actually been reincarnated? According to the information he had learned, using the huan bloodline would improve his strength the most, but it would also bring him the most trouble. Using the power of the huan and the huan materials to cultivate would also be relatively powerful, and there would be no trouble. It is the most difficult to practice without any external aid. This is the path that Emperor Fu took, and it is the path of formation. The emperor has connections with the huan bloodline faction. After all, he was once a member of it. Now that he has given up that path and can remain absolutely sober, all of us are more supportive of him becoming the emperor. Luo Feng understood. On the surface, the emperor is in power, and the other 11 emperors are divided into 2 major factions, with Emperor Qing being aloof. But in fact, except for Di Qing, the other 12 are fighting with each other. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, it's not just us, the monarchs of the Thunder Ancient Nation, but also some truly powerful ancient beings on the Origin continent. Everyone is fighting for the road to the Great Tao, and we must fight for it. Even the Flame Wind Ancestor and the Thunder Ancestor are also groping in the dark. They are also fighting for their lives. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng noticed a lot of information. The Ancestor of Flame Wind and the Ancestor of Thunder should both be beings that surpass the ultimate realm of the God King. The inheritance and resources they left in the 2 ancient countries are extremely huge. Are they risking their lives too? Everyone will die. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng and said, the 2 ancestors may die at any time. Luo Feng's heart trembled. Want to live? Di Chu looked at Luo Feng, you have to fight, you have to become stronger. You should know that there is reincarnation in the original universe. Di Chu looked at Luo Feng, but by the same token, the source world governed by the supreme rules also has reincarnation. One day in the future, the entire source world will be destroyed. If you can't reach the strength of an emperor, you will all die. No one can save you. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, and this is only the first calamity. Luo Feng was shocked, but felt it was natural. He cultivated the 2 origin paths of life and destruction, and could vaguely sense the operation of the supreme rules. Countless lives would eventually go to destruction, and only in destruction would new lives emerge. The reincarnation of the origin world is extremely long. For many practitioners, it is enough to live such a long time. Emperor Chu said, but for some powerful ancient beings in the origin continent, they are unwilling to accept this. They are only one step away from transcendence and even being able to leave the origin world to see more scenery. Of course they have to fight. The great destruction day of the origin world is the first calamity, and it is also the calamity you will face in the future. Emperor Chu said, Luo Feng, I am telling you this because you have a high level of talent and understanding. Ordinary Chaos Realm people don't need to worry about this because they have no hope of overcoming the calamity at all. Thank you, Master. Luo Feng said. He had long heard that in addition to the forces in the open, many forces in the dark were also stirring up trouble in the origin continent. For example, the official members of the 2 realms palace had to be at least at the 2nd level of the Divine King realm. Luo Feng was puzzled before, why did he have to hide in the dark after reaching the 2nd level of God King, Why did he have to stir up trouble and fight? Apparently those ancient beings were also fighting. Fight for opportunities and fight for survival. The struggle for the Great Way is naturally cruel. Practice well. Only when you become stronger can you gain more opportunities. Emperor Chu said, "You must be strong enough before the great destruction of the source world, otherwise everything will be in vain." Luo Feng nodded. Fate was cruel. If a living being was born near a great destruction, the time left for this living being to practice cultivation would be very short. Disciple will remember this. Disciple will take his leave. Luo Feng said immediately. Luo Feng also understood that many secrets were probably beyond the reach of ordinary god kings. As a disciple of the emperor told him so much because he saw that he had a high talent. I hope he can reach the emperor's strength before this Fangyuan world is destroyed. Di Chu silently hoped. Being able to create his own secret method and achieve Chaos Realm transcendence. Emperor Chu was very happy. With this kind of talent and understanding, there is a great hope of reaching the second level of Divine King, and naturally there is a glimmer of hope of reaching the level of Emperor. The ancient country of Yangfeng, Yanju. Emperor Yang was the first emperor of the entire Yangfeng ancient country. His reputation once shocked the entire origin continent. However, with the emergence of emperors one after another, especially the emergence of Emperor Qing, his influence naturally declined greatly. Emperor Yangsu was extremely respectful. Na Law rushed into the important border city, Xiangjia City, killed several of my clones, and took my treasures. There was a towering flaming figure in front of him. He had a humanoid body, but huge flaming wings. The flames on his wings were so strong that Yangsu dared not look directly at them. He also had a long, scaly tail. His existence is distorting Yangsu's mind and will. Di Yang is an emperor who cultivates the Hunyuan bloodline. The Hunyuan bloodline in his body is naturally extremely powerful and extremely polluting. Have any creatures of the Hunyuan bloodline escaped? Di Yang's voice sounded. No. Yangsu said. When he withdrew the control over the entrance to the world, he deliberately made some noise to try to attract the creatures of the Hunyuan bloodline. Waste? Di Yang's voice was extremely cold. You don't need to worry about this matter. I will deal with it after the heaven-level mission is completed. Today, all the 13 branches of the royal family are carrying out heaven-level tasks. This is a major event. Yes. Yangsu retreated respectfully. Can all of Emperor Chu's disciples become the first to transcend the Chaos Realm? Those with high talent have to suppress him. Emperor Yang was not happy at all. Luo He's strength was not good for Emperor Yang's lineage. In the past, he looked down on Luo He, but now that Luo He has gradually shown his threat, he will naturally pay attention to Luo He. Luo He's strength means that the Di Chu lineage is stronger. The Di Chu lineage obtains more resources, and the resources of other lineages naturally decrease. This video will end here.